In life, people often think that speaking out what they want to say is a way to relieve stress, to be understood, to affirm themselves. But the later it gets, after experiencing enough, we realize that there are times when words do not liberate, but bind, do not help the mind find peace, but only cause more suffering. The hotter a person is, the more they want to speak, and the more they speak, the more they suffer. In the midst of anger, words pour out like a spreading fire, burning away all goodwill and relationships that were painstakingly built. Some people, because of one unintentional word, lose friends, lose family affection, and lose trust in each other. There are also those who, for a moment of wanting to prove they are right, hurt others, and then they themselves are left with remorse that does not subside. The Buddha taught that words are like a passing breeze, but the karmic fruit follows like a shadow. The wind may dissipate, but the karma of the words still silently follows us in every emotion, every action, every lifetime. The mouth seems small, but it can open up both blessings and disasters, depending on where our mind is. Humans suffer because of speech, not only because others hear it and feel sad, but because every sentence uttered is a manifestation of the mind. If the mind is chaotic, the words are chaotic. If the mind is at peace, the words are at peace. The mouth is the exit of the mind, the place where what is deepest in our hearts is revealed. When we speak in anger, we are not actually speaking to others, but we are speaking to the delusions, hurts, and ignorance within our own hearts. Every time we speak out in anger, it is like pouring oil onto the fire of affliction. That fire burns not only the listener, but also the speaker. The Buddha taught that body karma, speech karma, and mind karma are the three biggest doors for creating karma in humans. Among them, speech karma is often generated the fastest because the mouth goes before the mind. A thought of anger has just arisen, and before one can realize it, the words have already been let loose. When the mouth speaks, karma is sown. Therefore, knowing how to keep one's words is knowing how to keep one's mind, but keeping one's mouth shut is not just silence on the outside, because if that silence is full of suppression, it is still a form of speaking in the mind. Keeping the mouth is learning to turn inward to listen to the movements in the heart, to hear what the mind is stirred by, whether it is raising anger, attachment, love, or compassion. Sometimes we are silent, but the mind is full of delusions. Sometimes we speak, but the heart remains still. True silence does not lie in the mouth, but lies in the clarity of the mind. A person who knows when to stop their words is a person beginning to practice meditation amidst life, because meditation is not just sitting in stillness, but it is knowing how to stop in every moment before acting, before speaking, before reacting. When we can look back at our mind right at the moment we are about to speak, that moment is the most vivid living meditation. Many Buddhists often mistakenly think that keeping speech means speaking little, being mute, or withdrawing oneself. But if inside the mind is still thick with waves, still wanting to speak, still wanting to win or lose, then that silence is not keeping the precepts, but is merely suppression. A practitioner keeps their mouth to keep the mind from rushing out after delusions. When the mind is quiet, benefits naturally arise, and when there are benefits, peaceful energy naturally radiates. A person who speaks little does not do so because they have nothing to say, but because they understand that not everything needs to be said, not every truth needs to be argued, and not every opinion needs to win. Sometimes a word as light as a spring breeze soothes another's anger. That is a word with blessings. But sometimes a sentence as heavy as an axe crushes a person's heart. That is a word that creates karma. We talk a lot, but rarely do we stop to listen and see what energy the words we just spoke carry. Is it anger or love? Is it a blessing or karma? If every time we speak, we know to stop for one breath, just one breath, to look at the mind, perhaps a lot of suffering would not be born. In reality, people who know how to speak less do not do so because they are afraid, but because they clearly see how powerful words are. One wrong word can make another person suffer for a lifetime. One truthful word can save a life. Speaking an evil word is like shooting an arrow from a bow. It cannot be pulled back. Therefore, in every sentence, we must put our heart into it. If the heart is full of love, the words are naturally light. If the mind is disordered, the words are naturally rough. The mouth is just a tool. The deciding factor lies in the mind. When we understand this, we see that keeping the mouth is not only keeping words, but keeping karma. A person who does not know how to keep their mouth has a tired body and a chaotic mind. A person who knows how to keep their mouth has a peaceful body and a quiet mind. Human suffering does not come from what others say to us, but from the very fact that we cannot stop to listen to what we are saying. When the mind is not at peace, words should not go out. When the mind is still moving, whatever is said is wrong. Only when the mind is awake will words naturally be healing, because in that awake mind, there is no longer the ego wanting to win or lose, wanting to prove, wanting to defend. Words from an awake mind are words with wisdom. That is the reason why the Buddha often remained silent before questions, when the conditions were not right for the asker to understand. That silence was not avoidance, but wisdom. A person who knows how to be silent is a person who knows how to speak at the right time. There are people who talk all day without creating karma, because they speak with a compassionate heart. There are people who speak just one sentence and cause long-lasting resentment because they speak with an angry mind. So if you want life to be less suffering, first practice speaking less and listening more. And when you need to speak, speak with a gentle heart. Gentle words are like cool water, watering the seeds of peace in the hearts of others. The less we speak, the more we can hear people, hear life, hear our own minds. In that hearing, wisdom is gradually born. I would like to say to you, dear Buddhists, that a person who knows how to stop their words is a person who is starting to return to themselves. From that place of silence, we can realize how many delusions are moving, how many thoughts of anger are being born, how much craving is rising. If we do not realize it in time, and the words go out first, then it is too late. Therefore, practitioners need to practice nurturing the mouth, not to seal it shut, but to open the ears to listen to the mind. Only when we hear the voice of our own mind can we tame our words. And when words are tamed, life will naturally be gentle, and the mind will naturally be at peace. Keeping the mouth is keeping the mind, and keeping the mind is keeping blessings. So, at the end of this part, I would like to send a question for you, dear Buddhists, to contemplate together. So, what is the purpose of keeping the mouth, and how must we keep it? I respectfully wish that after listening to this Dharma talk, everyone will sow good seeds in their hearts, know how to speak good words, and initiate beautiful thought so that blessings grow greater every day. If you find the Buddha's teachings bring peace, please joyfully subscribe to the channel to join me in the affinity of listening to the Dharma every day, and leave a few words of comment about the good things you want to practice today. I wish for everyone to have a peaceful body and a mind filled with blessings and wisdom. Dear Buddhists, after understanding that speech is the mirror of the mind, we need to look deeper to see why the more humans speak, the more conflict is born and the more peace is lost, because the root of all speech stems from the mind. And in the human mind, there inherently contain three fires that are always smoldering: greed, anger, and ignorance. When these three fires are not extinguished, every word uttered can be a small spark that burns oneself and consumes others. The Buddha taught that humans create karma through three doors: body, speech, and mind. Among them, speech karma is the fastest because the mouth is the organ that starts easily when the mind fluctuates. Many people, in a fit of anger, just a few seconds of hot-headedness, let loose words that hurt, and then regret it for a lifetime. Some people, just because they want to prove they are right, argue to the bitter end, causing relationships to crack. Then there are those who, because of greed for fame or profit, tell lies, praise, or criticize according to their own will, causing people to lose trust. It all starts from a small thought in the mind, then goes out through words to become karma, to become fruit. Every word is a seed sown in this life, and whichever seed is sown from anger, greed, or ignorance, that seed will sprout into suffering. But whichever word is sown with compassion, with mindfulness, that seed will bloom into a flower of blessings. Therefore, those who cultivate Buddhism not only keep the precepts of the body, but must also keep the precepts of speech. Speech karma is the root of countless sufferings, because words can divide, can make others shed tears, can make one's own mind uneasy. If you, dear Buddhists, take the trouble to contemplate, you will see that all conflicts in life, in the family, in society, in the workplace, even in the practice center, all begin with words. One unintentional sentence can become a detonator. One skillful word can resolve everything. Therefore, a wise person is not someone who talks a lot, but someone who knows when to speak and when to be quiet. There are three types of speech that the Buddha once taught us to recognize: ignorant speech, loving speech, and mindful speech. Ignorant speech is words born from an angry mind, from the ego, from a lack of understanding. It carries the energy of judgment, criticism, and argument. When the speaker still wants to win or lose, still wants to defend their own correctness, then even if the words seem reasonable, they are still ignorant, because the root of the mind is not clean. Loving speech is words emitted from love, from a gentle heart, capable of nurturing. A word of loving speech is like a stream of cool water poured onto the fire of anger, calming both the speaker and the listener. Speaking words of loving speech is a great virtue, because only a person with a compassionate heart can speak such words. And mindful speech is words arising from a bright mind with wisdom illuminating them, knowing clearly whether this word should be said or not, knowing clearly whether saying it brings benefit or not. A person speaking in mindfulness is never swept away by emotions. They know to stop right in the middle of the cycle of anger, know to take a breath, to listen to themselves again before speaking. Such a word is a word of wisdom. The Buddha once taught that one truthful word can save a human life. One wrong word can destroy a human life. That saying is simple but deep as the sea. There are people who spend their whole lives looking for happiness, but just because of one lie, one heavy word, all good blessings vanish. There are people who, just thanks to hearing one word of encouragement, change their whole life. So words are never a small matter. They are karma, and that karma is faster than the wind, deeper than a knife, and more durable than stone. Every time we speak a sentence, whether it is for fun, a joke, in anger, or in love, we are creating energy in the mind, and that energy will return. When we speak with anger, the mind becomes more agitated. When we speak with ignorance, the intellect becomes dimmer. When we speak with greed, the karma becomes heavier. Conversely, when we speak with love, with wakefulness, each word is like an incense stick offered to the Buddha, spreading a good fragrance amidst life. Therefore, a practitioner cannot take speech lightly. Speech karma is the root of all conflict and is also the door leading to peace. If we know how to open it with wisdom, if the mouth opens with anger, the door of karma opens. If the mouth opens with compassion, the door of blessings opens. Keeping the mouth is keeping the path of karma, while not keeping the mouth is letting karma lead oneself away. Every day we speak hundreds of sentences, but ask yourself how many sentences actually need to be said. How many sentences bring peace? And how many sentences only make the mind more tired? When we speak to prove, to defend, to win or lose, we are sowing the seeds of suffering. When we speak to share, to comfort, to help others understand, we are sowing the seeds of blessings. The same words, different minds, but the results are as different as sky and earth. Therefore, in every moment of life, we need to reflect on the mind before speaking. If you see the mind is agitated, stop. If you see the mind is calm, speak. That is keeping speech with wisdom. Dear Buddhists, to speak correctly, first one must master the mind, because words are just the shadow, while the mind is the body. If one does not master the mind, then words, no matter how good, can cause hurt. But when the mind is settled, even if it is a suggestion, the listener still feels refreshed at heart. So the important thing is not speaking well, but speaking in mindfulness. And the next question that I would like to send to you, dear Buddhists, to contemplate together is, to speak correctly, one must master the mind. So how do we master it? A Buddhist asked, "Dear teacher, I know words can create karma, but in life, many times people are wrong. They insult me. If I don't speak back, I feel resentful. But if I speak out, I am afraid of creating speech karma. So what must I do to both keep my mind and not let others bully me?" Dear Buddhists, this is something that almost all of us have experienced. When insulted, criticized, or spoken about wrongly by others, the mind immediately raises a feeling of injustice, wanting to talk back, wanting to defend oneself. That is the natural reaction of human instinct. But for a practitioner, the important thing is not to react quickly, but to realize early. Many Buddhists have also said that they know speaking out will cause suffering, but keeping quiet feels like choking inside. Getting stuck in that choking feeling is the starting point of the practice. It shows us where our mind is being hurt, what it is still attached to. When we see that clearly, we have begun to wake up. Worldly people often say to yield is to lose. But in the way, to endure is to win. Winning is not defeating others, but defeating oneself. Every time we hold back a sentence, in a moment of heat is a time we defeat the delusional mind, and every time we let loose words in anger is a time we lose to ourselves. The Buddha taught that a wise person does not speak when the mind is still angry. Let words come from a compassionate mind, like a lotus flower growing in the mud without being tainted by the mud. Words emitted from anger will be like arrows. Once shot, they cause injury. Words from compassion are like a cool breeze that can soothe people's hearts. To keep the mouth without feeling choked, one must shift the mind from reaction to contemplation. The Buddha did not teach us to be mute, but taught us to know how to speak in clarity. When the mind is still angry, every word is wrong. When the mind is at peace, every word is right. When insulted, the first suffering is not because they spoke wrongly, but because we believe that their words can hurt us. Deep down, we still cling to the self, the reputation, the image, the name. It is that clinging that makes the words of others become needles stabbing into the heart. If we see that we are just a stream of causes and conditions, then praise or blame are just echoes. The wind comes, then the wind goes. When we no longer cling, we will see that the person speaking wrongly is just being led by karma. They speak because their mind is suffering, is angry, not because they truly hate us. Seeing this, our heart naturally gives birth to compassion instead of anger. Keeping the mind like this is keeping the precept of speech and mindfulness. If you reply, "Ahat," it is just retaliation, and retaliation never brings peace. But if you are silent in wisdom, that silence will make the other person reflect on themselves. Sometimes it is thanks to our silence that the other person wakes up. And if the other person is still stubborn, it is okay, because we have not let our mind be dragged into that wave anymore. In reality, no one can bully a person with a peaceful mind, because a person with a peaceful mind is a person who's not shaken. They can hear as if not hearing, see as if not seeing, because they understand that all words are just karma ripening. When karma ripens, we just need to stand still in a mindful mind, and the karma will pass. If we react, we sow new seeds. So keeping the mouth is not weakness, but strength. Strength is not in retaliating, but in taming, to both keep the mind and not be hurt. Dear Buddhists, please practice 3 small steps. Step 1. When hearing something contrary to your wishes, do not rush to react. Breathe deeply 3 times. Breathe slowly and contemplate that this word is just the sound of karma passing by. Step 2. When the heat has subsided, look back to see what your mind is afraid of losing: reputation, reason, or sentiment. Seeing that root of attachment, the anger dissolves. Step 3. When you need to speak, speak with a heart of compassion. You can say gently, "I acknowledge your point, but please allow me to clarify this." When words come out in a peaceful mind, the listener naturally initiates good thoughts. A practitioner is not afraid to speak, only afraid to speak when the mind is not yet awake. Patience is not being silent forever, but being silent at the right time and speaking with the right conditions. Every time you keep your words, it is a time you add blessings. Every time you defeat anger, it is a time the mind becomes more settled. And right in that stillness, peace will naturally be born. You see, dear Buddhists, just one word arising from a peaceful mind can resolve so many afflictions in life. If every day we know to stop one angry sentence and speak one gentle word, then blessings will naturally increase without needing to pray. I wish for you, dear Buddhists, to always keep a gentle mind, a mouth speaking good words, and a mind initiating good thoughts, so that life is more peaceful and joyful. If you find this Dharma talk brings peace, please joyfully subscribe to the channel to join together in sowing the good affinity of listening to the Dharma every day, and leave a few words of comment about the good thing that you want to practice today. I wish for everyone to have a peaceful body, a bright mind, and increasingly perfect blessings and wisdom. Dear Buddhists, worldly people often think that keeping the mouth means not speaking, but in fact, keeping the mouth is not being mute, but keeping one's mind from being swept away by the cycle of movement. There are people who are silent all day, but inside their hearts are full of voices, full of arguments, full of resentment. There are people who speak very little, but every time they open their mouths, they make others feel light and peaceful. Thus, peace does not lie in the quantity of words, but in from which mind those words arise. When we are silent, we can hear the voice in our own hearts. That is the voice of habit, of hurt, of anger, of the desire to win or lose. If we do not hear that voice, we easily let the mouth speak on behalf of the mind. A word spoken in ignorance is like an arrow flying. It cannot be pulled back. But when we know to stop, know to take a breath, and listen to our mind again, the words spoken at that time will be words with stability. The Buddha taught that a person who knows how to tame the mind is a person who knows how to keep the mouth, because the mouth is just the shadow of the mind. If the mind is at peace, the words are naturally gentle. If the mind is agitated, the words will inevitably be rough. Therefore, nurturing the mouth is actually a form of practicing meditation in everyday life. Every time you are about to say something, try stopping for a beat. Look deep into the mind to see why you are speaking. Is it to prove, to defend, or to help others understand? If that word brings wholesome energy, speak it. But if it is only to satisfy emotions, it is better to be silent. Sometimes silence is the loudest statement. Keeping the mouth is not suppression, because suppression only makes the mind more tense. Keeping the mouth in the way means transforming the energy in the mind. When the mind arises with anger, return to the breath. When the mind arises with greed, contemplate cause and effect. When the mind arises with ignorance, recite the Buddha's name. These three remedies help the mouth stop and the mind find peace. There are times when you, dear Buddhists, will see that a gentle sentence can salvage a whole dispute. But there are also times when just one moment of silence causes the great waves in another's heart to settle down. Why is that? Because the energy of a person keeping their mouth in mindfulness is the energy of compassion. That energy radiates without words, but influences more deeply than any speech. I once heard a Zen master say that when the mind is quiet, words are naturally bright. Indeed, when our inner mind is like a flat lake surface, the moon of wisdom can shine down. If the lake surface still has waves, the moon is still there, but the image of the moon is distorted. If the mind is awake, the words will be bright. That is a very miraculous principle. Keeping the mouth is also keeping blessings, because every word is a seed in the stream of cause and effect. Evil word sow bad karma, gentle word sow good seeds. When we speak with a good mind, blessings are immediately born. Speaking with anger, blessings are immediately lost. The ancients had a saying, keep the mind like keeping gold, keep the mouth like keeping jade. Keeping the mind is the foundation, keeping the mouth is the gate. If this gate opens wrongly, then all the good blessings inside will flow away with it. Therefore, in daily life, dear Buddhists, you should practice 3 simple steps. Before speaking, breathe, look, and ask yourself, Does this word nourish anyone? If you see the words about to be spoken will only make others suffer, then it is better to be silent to keep blessings. While speaking, speak slowly, gently, just enough to be heard, as if speaking to your own mind. When words go out slowly, the mind has enough time to examine. After speaking, look back to see if your mind is at peace or agitated. If after speaking you feel regret, know that the mind is still distracted. If after speaking you feel light, know that those words were appropriate to the conditions. Every time you contemplate like that, wisdom increases a little and karma decreases apart. Some people say that keeping the mouth is very hard because in life one must communicate, must speak to work, to live. But keeping the mouth in the way does not mean not speaking, but speaking in mindfulness, whether at the market or in the practice hall, whether working or responding, as long as the mind always remembers the breath, words will naturally be pure, just like a boatman, only needing to hold the rudder. The boat naturally goes in the right direction. A person who keeps the mind, their words are naturally correct. When words are correct, work naturally goes smoothly. A true practitioner never lets the mouth go before the mind. They let the mind light the way for words. Let wisdom lead speech karma. Keeping the mouth is keeping the mind, and keeping the mind is keeping life. A person with a gentle mind, words come out like flowers blooming. A person with an agitated mind, words come out like knives cutting. One side creates blessings, the other creates karma. I would like to say to you, dear Buddhists, we cannot change others, but we can change our way of speaking. When words change, karma changes, and life also changes accordingly. So a person who knows to stop their words is a person who is opening the door to blessings. From keeping the mouth, we step to keeping the mind, and from keeping the mind, we step to keeping blessings. Because every word is a seed in cause and effect. A Buddhist asked, "Dear teacher, in life I try to keep my mouth, but many times others speak wrongly, speak heavily. If I am quiet, they think I am weak, but if I speak back, I am afraid of losing goodwill and creating speech karma. So how should I keep it so as neither to lose blessings nor be looked down upon?" Dear Buddhists, this is something that anyone practicing amidst life must face. Keeping the mouth when in a quiet place is easy, but keeping it when clashing, when others provoke stories, is truly the real work. There are times we know that silence is right, but inside we still feel uncomfortable because the ego has not yet admitted defeat. The ego always wants to be recognized, wants to be understood, so when others insult or criticize, the mind immediately reacts. That is very natural, but it is also the place that needs practice. Keeping the mouth does not mean patiently enduring in suffering, but practicing listening to understand where one's mind is being touched. When we are silent but inside is still boiling, still wanting to speak, still suffering, then that silence is not yet keeping the mouth. True keeping of the mouth is silence, where the mind no longer fluctuates, no longer initiates thoughts of wanting to win or lose. At that time, no matter what people say, inside our hearts it is still peaceful like flat water. The wind comes and goes, leaving no trace. The Buddha taught that there is no fire that burns like the fire of anger, no sin as heavy as evil speech. A person who knows to stop before speaking is a person who defeats 1,000 armies in the world. That teaching shows that keeping the mouth is not weakness, but the strength of wisdom. A wise person does not let their mind be dragged away by the words of others. They listen to understand, not listen to react. When the mind is steady, no one can hurt them because they understand that those words are just karma ripening, or a passing breeze, not real, when spoken about wrongly or heavily by others. If you, dear Buddhists, rush to speak back, at that moment it is not to defend the right, but only to defend the ego. The ego is the root of all suffering. It makes us have to prove, have to argue at all costs, have to see ourselves as right. But a person who understands the way knows that right or wrong are only temporary. The right of today may be the wrong of tomorrow, because human minds always change. When we try to keep the right, we are clinging. When we let go of the right, the mind is immediately at peace. So a practitioner keeps the mouth to keep the mind from falling into attachment to the self. When others speak wrongly about us, tell yourself that the words they say are not me. If you see something in the mind being hurt, that is the delusional mind manifesting. At that moment, instead of reacting, look straight into that pain, breathe in, and smile. Just one breath like that, and the energy of anger dissolves. Others may see our silence as weak, but in reality, we are stronger than anyone because we have defeated ourselves. A person who cannot master their mouth, even if they win in words, still loses in the mind. A person who knows how to keep their mouth, even if they lose in words, wins in karma. When we do not respond, karma stops. If we respond, karma continues. So keeping the mouth is cutting the cycle of samsara in every moment. A person can practice for a lifetime, but if they cannot stop their mouth, the mind has not yet entered concentration. Conversely, just stopping one sentence in a fit of anger is already a big step on the path of liberation. The Buddha once taught that a person who keeps their words during anger is a person who is self-liberated apart. Because in that moment, we do not let anger lead the way, to let wisdom shine. If you want to keep the mouth and still be at peace, I suggest 3 simple practices. First, when hearing something displeasing, do not rush to speak. Let the mind return to the breath. Look back at the emotion that is arising. Knowing you are angry is the first step of awakening. Second, contemplate that the person speaking heavy words is suffering. When seeing their suffering, our hearts naturally soften. Third, when you need to speak in a mind of loving kindness with the purpose of resolving, not winning or losing. You can say gently, I understand your point, but please let me share this. Speaking like that is just enough, not heavy, not weak, but possessing spiritual power. Every time you keep your words, you are keeping your mind. Every time you keep your mind, you are keeping blessings. Just like that, day by day, the wholesome energy within oneself will increase, and one day we will see no need to try to keep it anymore because the mind is naturally at peace. Words are naturally gentle. Dear Buddhists, just needing to keep one word in a moment of heat each day, knowing to listen to one sentence in silence, then blessings silently grow in the mind. Keeping the mouth is keeping the mind, and keeping the mind is keeping blessings. Because every gentle word is a lotus flower blooming in this life, I respectfully wish for you, dear Buddhists, to always speak good words, initiate beautiful thoughts, so that good blessings grow ceaselessly. If you find this Dharma talk brings peace, please joyfully subscribe to the channel Share it for those with affinity to listen to the Dharma together, and leave a word of peace that you want to send to life today. I wish everyone physical peace and perfectly fulfilled blessings and wisdom. Dear Buddhists, when speaking of cause and effect, everyone thinks of actions of the body, of doing good or doing evil. Few notice that words create karma even faster than actions. An arm raised to hurt someone still needs time, but a word emitted in just the blink of an eye is enough to crush a person's heart. The Buddha taught that the mouth is the gateway of karma. The body can be still, but if the mouth moves, karma is stillborn. There are people who think they are just speaking for fun, speaking to vent anger, but every single word sows a seed in the stream of karma. Cause and effect never misses even a single word. Good words sow blessings, evil word sow disaster. A person who knows to fear karma from the mouth will be careful with every sentence because they understand that speech karma and follow us through many lifetimes. Speech karma has four types that the Buddha taught clearly: false speech, divisive speech, harsh speech, and frivolous speech. Each type is a path leading to suffering if we are not aware. False speech is lying, when we intentionally speak untruthfully to gain private benefit. No matter how small, we have sown the seed of losing credibility. A person who lies once will have to lie many times to cover up the previous time and gradually lose all trust from others. A life without trust is a life that has lost blessings. Divisive speech, double-tongued, is two-faced speech, speaking one way to a person's face and another way behind their back, taking a story from this side and telling it to that side, causing others to misunderstand and divide. A person with this habit burns their own bridges, even if they are talented and intelligent. No one wants to be near them anymore because they are afraid of being gossiped about. A person who sows the seed of division will reap the fruit of loneliness. Harsh speech is heavy words, scolding words, words that make others hurt. When anger rises, words come out like sharp knives. One sentence can make another person lose faith in life, lose self-respect, or even lose the meaning of life. The fruit of harsh speech is resentment. A person who speaks evil sows bad energy, and then that very energy will return to make their mind hot, their body sick, and their life uneasy. And frivolous speech is embroidered words, flowery words to curry favor, untrue words that make others infatuated and confused. The fruit of frivolous speech is delusion or loss of blessings. A person accustomed to speaking frivolously makes their mind weaker every day because the energy of wisdom is obscured by the habit of embellishment. Each type of speech karma has its own fruit but shares one point: making the mind lose peace. A liar is never teased because they are always afraid of being discovered. A double-tongued person is always uneasy because they have to remember what they said. A person who often scolds always suffers because there is always fire in their heart. A person who often embroiders stories is always tired because they have to strain to keep up an image. Meanwhile, a person who speaks truthful words, gentle words, their mind is light as a cool breeze. They sleep easily at night and live leisurely by day. There is a saying, one good word gives birth to blessings for 10 lives. One evil word brings disaster for 100 lifetimes. That saying is not to scare, but to remind us of the power of words in the stream of cause and effect. Some people say, I only said it with my mouth. I didn't do anything. But speech karma is also action. Actions of the body are visible. Actions of the mouth are invisible. But the invisible goes deeper into the consciousness. A wound caused by the body can heal, but a wound caused by words sometimes follows the listener for a lifetime. Therefore, a practitioner keeps speech like someone keeping the scent of a lotus amidst the wind. That scent is fragile. Just one gust of angry wind, and the scent is lost immediately. In life, dear Buddhists, try to contemplate and see the majority of conflicts, misunderstandings, and resentments start from a sentence lacking mindfulness, an unintentional word that others heard as intentional, a joke, but it became a sharp knife. When we lack wisdom, we speak to satisfy our hearts. When we have wisdom, we speak to resolve. When we have insight, we speak to nurture. A person who understands the way never looks down on speech karma, because they know just one wrong sentence can open a door to great karma. There is a story told that there was a person who specialized in speaking sarcastic words to others. One day, that person saw his friend in trouble and immediately regretted it and wanted to apologize. But when he arrived, the friend had passed away. That person was in pain for his whole life because of an evil word that could not be withdrawn in time. From then on, he vowed to only speak good words. His life afterwards truly changed. He was cherished by people, and everything went smoothly. Cause and effect is not far away, but right in every word. A person who speaks evil will be isolated. A person who speaks well is naturally protected. Keeping the mouth is keeping blessings. Losing the mouth is losing blessings. So the Buddha taught that the mouth is the gateway of karma. Keep this gate, and body and mind will immediately be at peace. Dear Buddhists, I would like to leave a question for contemplation. How to keep it when others provoke a story. When we are insulted, a Buddhist asked, "Dear teacher, I know words can create karma, but in life sometimes I have to give feedback, have to speak the truth for others to correct mistakes. If I am afraid of speech karma and remain silent, I feel like I am condoning bad things. So how to speak so as not to commit speech karma, but still help others?" Dear Buddhists, this is a very practical and profound question. Many people, when learning about speech karma, develop fear, afraid that saying anything will create karma, so they choose silence. But silence is not always wisdom. Sometimes silence is complicity with what is wrong. Therefore, a practitioner must clearly know the boundary between speaking to help and speaking to harm. Words can be a sharp knife, but can also be healing medicine, depending on where the mind originates. A sentence originating from anger is karma, but that same sentence, if originating from a compassionate mind, will become a means to save people. The importance is not speaking or silence, but speaking with which mind. The Buddha taught that a wise person speaks at the right time, with the right dharma, with the right mind. Those words are like a lotus flower amidst mud without being tainted by mud. This means when speaking with a loving mind, those words, even if hard, become soft. Even if difficult to hear, become easy to accept. The Buddha spent his whole life teaching living beings, but never spoke a word carrying malice. He said, "Speak when needed. Be silent when one should be silent. Words from wisdom do not create karma. Words from affliction immediately sow seeds of suffering." When you want to give feedback to someone, the first thing is not to see if the other person is right or wrong, but to look back at your own mind. If the mind is annoyed, uncomfortable, then no matter how correct the words are, the listener will feel attacked. But if there is love in the heart, a desire for the other person to be better, then even straight talk makes the listener feel the good energy. So saying the truth with an angry mind creates karma. Saying the truth with a compassionate mind creates blessings. Speaking the truth but hurting others is words lacking sufficient love. Speaking the truth and making others wake up is words with wisdom. To be like that, a practitioner must learn the art of speaking in mindfulness. Before speaking, take a long breath to let the mind settle down. Look to see if the words about to be spoken nurture anyone. If those words only make the other person suffer more, then wait for another time. Because the conditions are not enough, when their mind is closed, our words cannot enter. Let it be when their heart is open, then even a light word is enough to move them. The Buddha, when teaching disciples, never spoke when the listener was not ready. He waited until the causes and conditions were ripe before using words to open their minds. That is the right time in the Buddhist teachings. Practitioners are the same. Speak when the mind is awake, speak with love, and speak at the right time. When these three factors are met, words will become Dharma. The listener will not feel criticized, but feel illuminated. When speaking with a compassionate mind, there is no speech karma, because a compassionate mind does not generate karma. Only when the mind is angry, attached, wanting to prove, is speech karma born. So fearing speech karma does not mean being mute, but being awake in every word. Whichever word is emitted in mindfulness is a word of practice. Whichever word is emitted in ignorance is a word of karma. A practitioner amidst life cannot avoid speaking, but can transform the way of speaking. When you speak with a peaceful mind, that speech has become a practice of cultivation. To speak correctly without committing speech karma, dear Buddhists, please practice 3 small steps. First, before speaking, listen to yourself to know where the mind is. If the mind is still hot, breathe. When the mind is cool, speak. Second, while speaking, use gentle words. Avoid using heavy sounds. Tone of voice is also energy. The lighter the voice, the more wholesome the energy. Third, after speaking, observe the listener. If they feel comforted and understood, it means the words were appropriate to the conditions. If they suffer more, it means we still lack love. Practitioners should remember words are just a bridge, and the other shore is understanding and love. If the bridge is built with wisdom, everyone wants to cross. If the bridge is built with anger, everyone avoids it. Therefore, do not be afraid to speak, but learn to speak in wakefulness. Every time speaking with a true compassionate mind is a time of creating blessings. Every time holding back an evil word is a time of reducing karma. When understanding this, Buddhists will see that speech is the practice, the measure of peace. Dear Buddhists, the cause and effect of speech is truly miraculous. So a good word today, tomorrow the flower or blessings will bloom in the heart. If every day we speak a truthful sentence, a word of loving speech, then blessings will silently grow large like a stream flowing in a gentle heart. I respectfully wish for you, dear Buddhists, to always speak good words, initiate beautiful thought, so that good karma increases and afflictions disappear. If you find this Dharma talk brings peace, please joyfully subscribe to the channel. Share it for those with affinity to listen to the Dharma together, and leave a word of peace that you want to sow into life today. I wish everyone physical peace and perfectly fulfill blessings and virtue. Dear Buddhists, after understanding the cause and effect of speech karma, we need to take a step deeper in cultivation, which is learning the method of practice right within speech, because speech is not just sound, but also the energy of the mind. If the mind is scattered, words will carry that scatteredness. If the mind is at peace, words are naturally gentle and light, making the listener feel refreshed. The Buddha taught that precepts, concentration, and wisdom sila, samadhi, Pana can all be manifested through speech. A person with precepts is someone who knows to stop evil words, knows to speak truthful things, knows to choose the time and object to speak to so as not to cause harm. A person with concentration is someone who speaks in mindfulness, knowing clearly what they are saying, to whom, and with what state of mind. And a person with wisdom, someone who speaks with the purpose of bringing benefit, helping the listener suffer less, understand more, and love more. Therefore, speaking in the way is not only to communicate, but is also a method of practice. Each word can be a step forward or a step backward on our path of cultivation. When we speak in anger, the mind lowers. When we speak in love, the mind elevates. Keeping words is keeping the mind, and keeping the mind is practicing precepts, concentration, and wisdom in daily life. Some people think that practicing means sitting in meditation, chanting sutras, going to the temple. But actually, just speaking in mindfulness is also meditation, is chanting, is practicing. One gentle word is a living verse of sutra. One awake breath before speaking is a small session of meditation. If you, dear Buddhists, can practice like that, then every conversation, every time speaking in life is an opportunity to practice. I would like to share 3 steps of practice to cultivate within speech. Step 1. Know to stop when the mind is hot. Whenever feeling boiling inside, the throat wanting to burst out with harsh words, stop. Stopping is not to lose, but to defeat oneself. Breathe slowly 3 times. Contemplate that if speaking out now, I will lose blessings. As the breath goes in, the fire of anger subsides immediately. Just slowing down for a few seconds, we can save a relationship, a family, even save a whole lifetime of cultivation. Step 2. Note to listen. When others speak, many people do not truly listen, but only wait for their turn to speak. When our mind does not listen, we react easily. Listening with compassion is a very deep form of practice. When listening to others speak, look at them with eyes of understanding and love, because knowing that everyone is suffering in their own way. At that time, the words we speak afterwards will be different, will be soothing, will be soft. Listening with an awake mind is the most natural way to nurture the mouth. Step 3. Know to speak when the heart is already at peace. Sometimes we need to speak, but if the mind is not yet quiet, words spoken will be mixed with afflictions. Wait until the mind has settled, then speak. When the mind is at peace, words are naturally bright, naturally possessing spiritual power. The listener does not feel judged, but feels illuminated. In the scriptures, the Buddha once taught that when words arise from a compassionate mind, that is the scent of lotus in the mouth. That scent is not seen by eyes, but the listener will feel it with the heart. A word emitted from a compassionate mind can resolve resentment, reconnect love, and dissolve misunderstandings in life. I have seen many people who, just because they changed their way of speaking, transformed their whole family. Before, they were irritable and judgmental, so the house was always in discord. After learning the way, they practiced speaking gently, deliberately, practiced listening, and miraculously the husband became less hot-tempered, the children became obedient, and the house naturally became peaceful. That is the efficacy of the practice in speech. Dear Buddhists, do not think it is a small matter. Speech is sound, and sound carries energy frequency. When wholesome energy is emitted from the mouth, it spreads like the scent of a lotus, making everyone around us feel peace. A practitioner does not need to speak much, only needs to speak correctly. One right word at the right time can save a soul, save a life. One wrong word can make another suffer for eons. Therefore, in life, choose words that make your mind bright and people's hearts light. That is wise speech. The practice in speech is not far away. Just practice speaking little less each day, listening a little more. And when speaking, let love lead the way. Speak less to have more heart, mind, and when the mind is abundant, blessings are great. Because every time stopping words is a time creating blessings. A Buddhist asked, "Dear teacher, I know I must speak good words, but in life sometimes I have to speak strongly, have to teach children, have to handle work matters. If I speak gently, others don't listen. If I speak heavily, I feel I am committing speech karma. So how to keep mindfulness when having to speak sternly without losing blessings?" Dear Buddhists, this is something very many people practicing amidst ordinary life get caught in. Life is not always smooth. There are times we act as parents and must teach children, act as teachers and must discipline students, act as leaders and must speak sternly to keep order. In those circumstances, we think we must use a heavy voice, must speak to show authority so others will listen. But the heavier we speak, the greater the energy of anger. The listener, though afraid, closes their mind. The words, though loud, cannot sow seeds of understanding inside. The practice in speech is not just speaking softly, but speaking in wakefulness. A practitioner speaks sternly, but is still gentle, speaks decisively, but without anger, speaks with power, but without harm. That is the art of speech and the way. The Buddha taught to speak at the right time, speak truthful words, speak with a loving mind. Those words are Dharma. Those words nourish people. Stern words are not evil words if originating from a compassionate mind. When the Buddha scolded his disciples, he also had times of speaking decisively, but compassionate energy always radiated. He did not speak to vent anger, but spoke to help people wake up. Therefore, the power of words lies not in volume, but in the measure of the mind. When you, dear Buddhists, must speak sternly, the most important thing is to see where your mind is. If the mind is still hot, stern words immediately become angry words. If the mind is already settled, stern words become words of teaching. A sentence emitted in concentration has very great energy. The listener, although reminded, still feels loved because they sense the sincerity. Sometimes we don't need to speak loudly, just need a look, test a light sentence, and the listener feels ashamed and corrects themselves. But if speaking in a fit of anger, the more one speaks, the more wrong it is. Therefore, before speaking, breathe. When the breath goes in, anger decreases, wisdom brightens. When wisdom brightens, words are immediately correct. A person with cultivation never lets words go before the mind. They let the mind lead words, let wisdom lead speech. so every word spoken has educational energy. Sometimes stern words make the listener shed tears of emotion. Sometimes gentle words make others wake up. That is thanks to the coordination of compassion and wisdom. If lacking one of the two, words will become dry, cold, or sharp. A practitioner speaking in mindfulness must see clearly whether this word is spoken to nourish someone or to satisfy someone. If to nourish, speak. If to satisfy, stop. That is the standard of wisdom. In words, the practice in speech is not separated from the breath. When we speak while still remembering the breath, those words never create karma. The breath is the rope connecting the mind and the mouth. When the breath is peaceful, words naturally regulate. Dear Buddhists, try practicing speaking while breathing lightly, feeling every word coming out from the breath. You will see words become soft, clear, and hearing your own words you will also feel peace. To speak sternly without committing speech karma, dear Buddhists, please practice 3 small methods. First, before speaking, breathe 3 times to stop the energy of anger before uttering words. At that time, the voice will naturally be deep and powerful without being harsh. Second, while speaking, put a loving heart into every word, contemplating that I speak to help them understand, not to put them down. When compassion arises, the sound immediately changes. Stern words become words of teaching. Third, after speaking, silently dedicate merit, praying for the listener to be at peace, for my words not to create karma. Just practicing like that, gradually the speech of you, dear Buddhists, will have spiritual power. Anyone listening will feel refreshed. Stern words without anger are words with blessings. A practitioner amidst life who can do so makes every word a sermon, every breath a meditation session. At that time, speech karma is transformed, the mind is at peace, blessings increase, and life naturally shines. You see, dear Buddhists, just knowing to stop a hot word, speak a gentle sentence, keep an awake breath, then blessings silently increase day by day. When words become a method of practice, life immediately becomes gentle and human hearts more stable. I respectfully wish for you, dear Buddhists, to always speak good words, initiate beautiful thought, so that blessings follow every breath. If you find this Dharma talk brings peace, please joyfully subscribe to the channel. Share to sow the good affinity of listening to the Dharma together, and leave a word of peace that you want to send to life today. I wish everyone physical peace and perfectly fulfilled blessings and wisdom. Dear Buddhists, in life sometimes just one timely silence can resolve so many storms. The story I would like to tell today is about a gentle wife who knew how to keep her mouth, keep her mind, and thanks to that transformed the karma in her family. Once upon a time in a small village, there was a couple living together for many years. The husband was inherently hot-tempered, plus the work was hard, so he often brought fatigue home. Whenever something didn't please him, he took his anger out on his wife. The wife was gentle, spoke little, and cared for the family all year round without complaint. At first, every time she was scolded by her husband, she only knew how to cry. Later she learned how to be silent, but that was not the quietness of wisdom, but silence and endurance. So inside she still suffered. One day she went to the temple to listen to the Dharma, hearing the monk preach that keeping the mouth is not enduring, but turning back to listen to what one's mind is saying. That saying was like a torch lighting up her heart. From then on, she began to practice according to the teaching. Every time her husband got angry, instead of crying or arguing, she remained silent, but inside recited the Buddha's name, observed her breath, and listened to see what her mind was agitated by. Gradually, she realized that when her husband scolded, she suffered not because of his words, but because of the mind wanting to be loved, wanting to be understood within herself. When realizing that, she smiled, her heart no longer resentful. Next time, when the husband came home in a drunken state, shouting as usual, she still silently poured him a glass of water and gently placed it in front of him. He snapped, "Are you pretending to be silent to despise me?" She just replied, "No, I am afraid that if I speak, it will make you suffer more." That sentence made the husband feel like he was stopped dead in the middle of his anger. He looked at his wife for a long time and then walked away. That night, for the first time in many years, he tossed and turned thinking. The next morning, he didn't scold as usual. 1 day, 2 days, then a month. Gradually, he no longer had the habit of venting anger without reason. One morning, he said softly to his wife, "I apologize. I realize that every time I get angry, you become gentler, and I see myself becoming smaller." From that day, he started practicing drinking less alcohol, coming home earlier, and even went to the temple with his wife to listen to the Dharma. The whole house gradually became warm. Laughter replaced arguments. People in the neighborhood all praised her as a virtuous wife. Someone asked her how she made her husband change his nature so well. She smiled gently. "I didn't make him. I just kept my mind unmoved. And as for his movement, he took care of it himself." You see, dear Buddhists, the power of a gentle word lies not in vocabulary, but in a peaceful mind. The wife in that story was not enduring in weakness, but was a person who understood the method of keeping speech. When the mind is at peace, words are naturally bright. Her silence was not fear, but compassion. It was that gentle energy that dissolved the husband's anger and transformed the family. Thanks to keeping the mouth, she kept the mind. Thanks to keeping the mind, she kept happiness. Timely silence is the greatest blessing of a practitioner. The Buddha taught that a person who speaks little but has a good mind, that person, even amidst the world, is like being in meditation. The story of the gentle wife is proof that just one person knowing how to stop, the karma of the whole household can change. A person keeping their mouth amidst a storm is a person sowing good seeds for the future. Dear Buddhists, all of us have times when we are swept into the waves of words. But if every time we are about to speak, we remember the image of the gentle wife, know to breathe, know to stop, know to smile in silence, then from their karma will gradually dissolve, blessings will gradually be born, and the house in our heart will become warm and peaceful. A Buddhist asked, "Dear teacher, I heard the story of the gentle wife keeping silent and resolving her husband's anger. I find it very good. But in reality, when insulted or spoken to heavily by others, even if I can be silent, inside I still feel resentful. What must I do to be silent while the mind is still at peace, not suffering, not resentful?" Dear Buddhists, this is something very common in life. Many people try to be silent to avoid arguments, but being silent while the heart is full of resentment means the more silent they are, the more they suffer. Such silence is not keeping speech, but swallowing anger. Silence and suppression is the silence of the body, not yet the silence of the mind. The Buddha taught that a person who knows how to keep speech is someone who stops the mind before words go out, not someone who covers their mouth or hide the fire of anger burning inside. Therefore, to be silent and at peace, one cannot rely only on the power of endurance, but must rely on wisdom. When there is wisdom, we will see that the person insulting us is actually also suffering, being led by ignorance. So the heart immediately generates love rather than anger. When the heart has love, that silence becomes Dharma, becomes gentle energy spreading, making the person opposite settle down on their own. The Buddha taught, if someone brings fire but you do not accept it, that fire returns to the person bringing it. This means if someone speaks evil words but we do not accept, do not react, do not raise an angry mind, then that bad energy will not stick to us but return to the person who emitted it. A person who can keep silence in the mind is someone who has cut the stream of karma right from the root. Keeping the mouth is keeping karma, but keeping the mind is transforming karma. When others speak heavily, the first thing causing us suffering is not those words, but the idea in us that they are not allowed to speak like that to us. Deep down, that self wants to be respected, wants to be understood, and when touched, it reacts immediately. So to be silent and at peace, we must clearly see the self. It is just an illusion. The person speaking evil words is actually carrying their karma, and we suffer because we want to keep our image. If we can let go of that desire to keep, we will see those words are just a passing breeze, just like the gentle wife in the story. When she was quiet, it was not because of fear, but because she clearly saw her husband was suffering, and if she spoke more, both would burn. Precisely because she saw that, her mind was not shaken. The silence of wisdom is not the silence of weakness, but the silence of compassion. When compassion arises, we don't need to try to be silent. We will naturally be silent because we no longer want to retaliate. The person speaking evil words is not hateful. They are only pitiable because they are living in the fire of anger. If we reply, we also step into that fire. If we are silent with wisdom, we become the person holding water to extinguish the fire. That silence has spiritual power, has light. In reality, dear Buddhists, you can practice recognizing every small vibration. When hearing a difficult word, just look straight into that emotion. Do not react, just breathe, and the heat will gradually dissolve. At that time we are silent, not because of effort, but because the mind has settled. To be silent without suffering, dear Buddhists should practice 3 small things. First, when hearing difficult words, return to the breath. Feel the stream of air going in cool, going out warm so the body and mind can stop in time. Second, contemplate that the speaker is suffering because a peaceful person does not speak evil words. When seeing their suffering, we no longer see them as an offender, but as a person needing to be understood. Love immediately arises, anger immediately dissolves. Third, after the event passes, look back at the mind to see where I am still caught, where I am still hurting. If still hurting, recite the Buddha's name, read a verse, or sit quietly for a few minutes to let go. Doing so, gradually silence in us will become strength. A practitioner may not win in words, but wins in the mind. Every time we are silent without suffering is a time karma fades and blessings are born. That silence is the loudest voice of a person who understands the way, because it hurts no one but makes one's own mind brighten. You see, dear Buddhists, just one silence in mindfulness can transform a whole human life. When we stop words, the mind immediately brightens, and from that bright place, blessings begin to arise. Silence is not weakness, but the strength of a person who understands the way. I respectfully wish for you, dear Buddhists, to speak good words every day, initiate beautiful thoughts, and keep peace in every breath. If you find this story brings peace, please joyfully subscribe to the channel. Share to sow good affinity for many people to listen to the Dharma together, and leave a word of peace, a benevolent wish that you want to send to life today. I wish everyone a gentle mind, a good mouth, and immeasurable blessings and virtue. The story, The Bell and the Human Heart. Once upon a time in a small village by the river, there was a blacksmith named Tam. He was famous for his hot temper, speaking grumpy words, and easily getting angry at anyone. People in the village often said that the sound of the hammer in his workshop not only struck the iron, but also struck the anger in his heart. Whenever anyone accidentally displeased him, he immediately shouted loudly, sometimes throwing his tools. Because of this, although he was skilled, no one dared to ask him to forge things for fear of hearing difficult words. His wife was a gentle woman, silently enduring every day. Every time he flew into a rage, she only whispered, "Don't let your mouth make your body suffer." That saying went through his ears, but never entered his heart. One summer afternoon, the weather was sultry. Tam was forging a sword for a villager, and the furnace fire was weak, and the iron wasn't ripe. He angrily shouted at his apprentice, "You are as stupid as wet coal." The young apprentice was terrified, accidentally dropped the sword to the ground. The sound of metal hitting the stone floor rang out harshly. Then it broke in two. Tam's anger flared up. He grabbed the hammer, intending to hit, but the apprentice panicked and ran away. That day, people in the village gossiped excitedly. Everyone said this man had heavy karma, an evil mouth, and sooner or later would suffer the consequences. His wife heard it and just sighed. That evening she didn't say anything, just placed a small copper bell in front of her husband, the kind of bell monks use in the temple when chanting sutras. He frowned. "Why did you bring this to me?" She said softly, "Every time you are about to speak a heavy word, ring the bell once instead of scolding." He sneered, "I'm not a child." But in his heart, his wife's words were like a small seed sown. The next morning, on entering the workshop, he saw the bell placed by the anvil. He didn't understand why, but every time frustration was about to rise, his eyes saw it. Once the fire was weak, the apprentice made a mistake, and he was about to shout. His hand unconsciously touched the bell, and a ding sound rang out. That sound seemed to pierce through the layer of anger, making him stop for a moment. The apprentice stood still in fear, but he felt his heart soften. From that day on, whenever anger arose, he rang the bell. At first, it was forced, but gradually the bell became a companion. People in the village started hearing less cursing and more bell sounds. Someone joked, "Mr. Tam's workshop has become a temple now." But strangely, anyone coming to ask him to forge things also felt light at heart. One day, a monk passed by, heard the bell amidst the hammer sounds, stopped and asked, "What do you strike the bell for?" Tam recounted the story. The monk smiled and said, "Very good. The bell not only rings outside the ear, but rings in the mind. Every bell sound you strike is a thought of anger being transformed. Tam bowed his head. I never thought the sound of a bell could stop the fire of anger. The monk said, it is not the bell stopping the anger, but your mind knowing to stop. That saying made him suddenly wake up. From then on, every morning he sat quietly for a while before entering the workshop, listening to one bell sound before holding the hammer. The hammer sound that used to be harsh now harmonized with the soothing bell sound, echoing through the village like a meditation song. People in the village said to each other that blacksmith is different now. His words are light as smoke, his mind gentle as a new fire. Later, Tam became a person respected by everyone. When he passed away, people heard the bells still echoing in the workshop, as if reminding the living that every word, every anger can be transformed if we know to stop for a breath. Dear Buddhists, the story of the blacksmith shows us that keeping the mouth is not only stopping evil words, but knowing to return to hear the bell in one's heart. When the mind is about to raise anger, just one quiet thought, one deep breath, one consciousness of cause and effect, and we can stop the fire before it flares up. Keeping the mouth is keeping karma is keeping blessings. Every bell sound we hear, every gentle word we speak is a step forward towards peace. A person who knows to stop words is not weak, but strong in wisdom and gentle in compassion. A Buddhist asked, Dear teacher, I heard the story of the blacksmith using the bell to keep his mind. I admire it very much, but in life I don't have a bell, nor do I have such a quiet space. Every day I am still busy, facing many things contrary to my wishes. How can I keep my mind calm when there is no bell outside? Dear Buddhists, this question is very good and very real because most of us live amidst ordinary life without a bell, without a hermitage, only with work, family, pressure, and thousands of sounds of life. But precisely because of that, a lay practitioner has the opportunity to practice the way amidst life. The Buddha did not teach us to hide deep in the mountains to keep the mind, but taught us to keep the mind right in the middle of the market of life. The blacksmith in the story only borrowed the bell to wake himself up. The important thing was that he knew to stop before anger arose. So the issue is not whether there is a bell or not, but whether we know how to ring the bell in our own mind. Everyone has a bell like that. One just needs to know how to listen. The Buddha taught that the mind is the root of all dharmas. If the mind is tamed, then the mouth, body, and will are all tamed. This means when we know to turn back to look at the mind, no need for a bell, no need for ritual implements, just one breath, one quiet thought can also dissolve anger. The bell in the way is not only at the temple, but in every mindful breath of each person. When we listen to ourselves again, that is the bell of awakening. When life is too noisy, the bell out there is hard to reach, but the bell in the mind never turns off. It's just that we forget to listen. Whenever you, dear Buddhists, feel your heart annoy, feel your mouth about to say something that shouldn't be said, treat that as the moment the bell is preparing to ring. Stop for a second. Take a really deep breath. Listen to the sound of the breath going in and out. That breath is the bell. When the breath is peaceful, the mind is immediately peaceful. When the mind is peaceful, words are naturally gentle. The blacksmith in the past used a real bell. We today use the mind bell. The real bell rings outside the ear. The mind bell rings in the heart. The real bell stops noise. The mind bell stops delusional thoughts. Whenever we stop in mindfulness, whether at the market, at home, or in the car, we can still hear that bell. Actually, in modern life, the difficulty is not keeping the mind quiet, but remembering that the mind is inherently quiet. Only because delusional thoughts drag us away do we feel it moving. When we remember, the bell rings immediately. Some say they don't have time to practice, but every day just 1 minute of silence, one mindful breath is enough to wake oneself up. When the mind is stopped, our words, eyes, and attitude also change. Others will feel the soothing coolness in our energy, and that is blessings. A person who knows to return to the breath is a person who knows to ring the bell for the mind themselves. When the bell in the heart rings, all external afflictions have no place to dwell. To nurture the bell in the heart, dear Buddhists, please practice 3 small things. First, every early morning, when just waking up, sit still for a minute, breathe slowly and smile. Contemplate. Today I vow to speak gentle words. That contemplation is the first bell of the day. Second, whenever angry or tired, put your hand on your chest. Feel the heartbeat. Each beat is a bell of life. Listen to it instead of reacting. Listen to it instead of speaking. When the heart is heard, anger naturally dissolves. Third, before going to sleep, recite the Buddha's name 3 times and listen to the sound in the mind. No need for a real bell, just mindfulness. The mind will stop. Blessings will be born. A practitioner is not in a place avoiding noise, but in a place hearing the quiet amidst the noise. The bell out there only rings when we strike it, but the bell in the mind rings when we are awake. Every time we stop a fit of anger, a harsh word, it is a bell that has rung. And that very bell is the Dharma sound of the practitioner amidst life. The story. The grain of salt in the bowl of water. Once upon a time, in a small village in the Midlands, there was a young man named Ho, straightforward in nature, quick with his mouth and direct with his words. Whatever anyone said that displeased him, Ho replied immediately. His parents advised, "Speak let, so your heart can be at peace." But Ho laughed. "I speak the truth. I don't speak evil. Why fear karma?" So because his mouth was unguarded, Ho offended many people. Friends got angry, and there were often arguments in the house. One day, Ho went to the village temple, coincidentally meeting an old monk sweeping the yard. Seeing Ho, the monk smiled and asked, "What's the matter, son, that your face is so heavy?" Ho replied, "I don't understand. I only speak the truth. But why is everyone sad and angry?" The monk nodded. "Speaking the truth is not wrong, but do you know how to speak the truth so that others listen without suffering?" Ho was stunned. "Does one also have to learn to speak the truth?" The monk gently said, "Speaking the truth without wisdom, words will be like a knife. Speaking the truth with compassion, words will be like flowers." Then he led Ho to the well behind the temple, scooped a bowl of water, put a pinch of salt in it, stirred it up, and gave it to Ho. "Taste it." Ho tasted it and grimaced, "Salty and bitter." The monk smiled, took a similar pinch of salt and dropped it into the large water jar cistern. "Now scoop water from the jar and taste." Ho tasted and was surprised. "Sir, not salty." The monk looked at Ho kindly. "It is the same salt, but with little water it is salty. With much water it is sweet. Words are the same. If your mind is small and narrow, truthful words become bitter. If your mind is vast, truthful words turn into peace." Ho bowed his head in silence. From that day, Ho began to learn how to pour more water into his heart. Whenever anyone said something contrary to his wishes, Ho did not react immediately, just breathed and asked silently, "Is my mind wide or narrow right now?" When words were about to be let loose, Ho remembered the well behind the temple, hearing like the sound of water flowing in his heart. Once an old friend came to the house and reproached, "Back then you called me stingy. I was very angry with you." Ho smiled. "Back then my mouth was faster than my mind. Now I'm learning to slow down." The friend was surprised. "You are different from before, speaking less, but it warms the heart." That sentence moved Ho, and he bowed his head, reciting the Buddha's name. From then on, Ho spoke little, listened much, and when speaking always put compassion before the mouth. Many people came to ask how to speak so others don't get angry. Ho just smiled before speaking. See if your mind is a bowl of water or a jar of water. If the mind is small, be quiet. If the mind is wide, words will naturally be peaceful. That saying spread throughout the village. Everyone who heard it absorbed it. Dear Buddhists, the story of Ho reminds us that keeping the mouth does not mean not speaking, but knowing to speak in a wide mind. When the mind is tight, words become blades. When the mind is wide, words turn into lotus flowers. Just like that grain of salt, inherently without fault. Only because the human heart has little water does it become salty. If every time we are about to speak, we know to pour more water into our hearts, meaning adding compassion, adding understanding, adding a mindful breath, then all words will become gentle. Keeping speech is not to seal the mouth, but to open the heart. And when the heart is open, every word becomes a fragrance of goodness amidst life. A Buddhist asked, "Dear teacher, I understand that when the mind is wide, words will be gentle, but in life there are many stubborn people. Even if I speak gently, I am misunderstood. Many times I don't want to speak anymore for fear of trouble, but being silent forever makes me feel lonely." So how to speak correctly, to speak good words, but still keep the heart at peace? Dear Buddhists, this question is very sincere. In life, no one speaks and is understood by everyone, because everyone listens with a different mind. Words are just sound, while the meaning lies in the listener's mind. Sometimes we speak with good intentions, but the listener is carrying a wounded mind, so they receive it in a different way. Seeing this, a practitioner must know that keeping the mind at peace is the root, while whether others understand or not is conditioned. Affinity. If we keep expecting our words to be understood, we will be tired. But if we only hope to keep our own heart clear, we will be at peace. Just like the water drawer, our job is to pour clear water, and whether others use that water to drink or to water plants is their business. The Buddha taught that a person speaks upright words that are gentle, easy to hear, timely, and do not hurt anyone. Upright words are words not originating from the ego, not carrying the desire to win or lose. When the mind still wants to prove, the words are not yet gentle. If the mind only hopes to help people suffer less, words naturally become loving speech. A practitioner does not need to speak correctly according to the world, but speaks correctly according to the heart of compassion. Because compassion does not generate speech karma. When others misunderstand our words, dear Buddhists, do not rush to be sad, because that is when old karma is ripening. Maybe in the past we used incorrect words, so now we meet conditions to relearn. treat every misunderstanding as a lesson to train the mind. When we endure without anger, we are paying off karma in peace. A person who speaks gentle words, what is misunderstood still has blessings, because the cause of the good heart will not be lost. There is a subtle thing. Sometimes we speak gently, but in the mind we still want the other person to understand, and those words still carry attachment. A wise person only sows good words and then lets go, not demanding results. When we are not attached to the reaction of others, we are free, just like the grain of salt in the story. If it falls into a small bowl, the water will be salty. But if it falls into a large lake, the salty taste is gone. A practitioner must practice being a large lake, meaning opening one's heart wide enough to contain both praise and blame, both understanding and misunderstanding. When the heart is wide, no one can hurt us anymore. The loneliness you speak of is not because no one listens, but because the mind is not yet large enough to encompass. When the mind is large enough, we can be silent and still feel warm, because we know we are speaking with good energy even without uttering words. A practitioner speaks little, but the heart is bright. Silent, but the mind still transmits compassion. That is the true Dharma of speaking, to speak without suffering. Dear Buddhists, please practice 3 small things. First, before speaking, contemplate. Does this word nourish anyone? If it nourishes, speak. If not, stop. Second, when speaking, listen to your own sound and see if the words are light or heavy. If heavy, breathe to lower the tone. Light words go with gentle breath, sounding soothing and penetrating. Third, after speaking, don't wait for others to understand. Just look to see if your mind is brighter than before. If the mind is bright, know that those words were according to the Dharma. A person who understands the way does not speak to prove, but speaks to let go. When speaking in mindfulness, every word becomes a seed of blessing sown into life. When speaking in compassion, even if no one listens, the words still touch suffering hearts. A person who knows how to speak gently, be silent gently, live gently is a person who is cultivating speech, cultivating the mind, and cultivating blessings all at the same time. The story, The Voice in the Market Corner. Once upon a time, in a small village by the river wharf, there was an old woman selling vegetables named Dia. Her life was very poor. Every day she carried a load of vegetables to the market from early morning until noon to sell them all. She was gentle, spoke little, always smiling at everyone. But next to her spot was a young woman, a man, hot-tempered and prone to speaking heavy words. Whenever a customer stopped to buy Grandma Du's vegetables, man immediately made sarcastic remarks. That old woman's vegetables are wilted like that. Who would buy them? Sometimes man even intentionally spoke loudly. People sell, but pretend to be virtuous, probably doing charity. Grandma Dia heard it and just smiled, saying nothing. People in the market felt sorry for her and said, "Let me speak up to teach her some manners." She shook her head. "No need, child. Whatever anyone says is just like wind passing through leaves." The next day, men continued to speak heavily. This time she even threw vegetable leaves over to Grandma Du's spot. Grandma Dia remained silent, just bent down to pick them up, wash them clean, and arrange them neatly. A customer asked, "Your vegetables are so gentle? Everyone teases, but you don't get angry." Grandma Dia smiled gently. "If I get angry, the vegetables will wilt before I sell them. Everyone heard and burst out laughing, but inside they felt light. Some time later, Man's husband got sick, and she had to stop selling to care for him. One day she returned to the market, seeing her vegetable stall was dusty, while Grandma Dew's vegetables were still fresh. Seeing her, the old woman took a basket of vegetables and said, "Take this home to cook for your husband. No need to pay." Man was confused and stammered. "Aren't you angry with me?" She just replied, "A person who speaks heavily is a person who is suffering. I have nothing to be angry about." That sentence made Man burst into tears. She knelt down holding the old woman's hand. "I'm sorry, you speak little, but I hear it so deeply." From that day, Man changed her character, spoke more gently, and even helped Grandma Dia set up her stall every morning. Everyone in the market cherished both of them. One day, someone asked Grandma Dia, "How are you so good at enduring?" She smiled, "I don't endure, I just listen. People speak, but I hear with a peaceful heart." So those words naturally dissolve. That saying spread throughout the market, making everyone reflect. From then on, people no longer heard the sound of arguing in that market corner, only the sound of soft speaking and laughter mixed with the sound of the shoulder pole. Dear Buddhists, the story of Grandma Dia teaches us a lesson about the power of silence and compassion. When the mind is at peace, the words of others cannot hurt us. When knowing how to listen with wisdom, all criticism becomes an opportunity to practice. What the world says is their karma. How we hear is our karma. If we hear with an angry mind, we receive fire. If we hear with a compassionate mind, we receive flowers. Grandma Dia did not win with words but won with a gentle heart. That is the greatest victory, the victory over oneself. Every word spoken carries karma, but timely silence can transform karma. Silence that is bright is cultivation. Speaking that is gentle is blessings. Keep the mouth. The heart is naturally light. Keep the heart. Blessings are naturally born. A Buddhist asked, "Dear teacher, I heard the story of Grandma Dia being spoken to heavily by others, but still remaining calm. I admire it very much, but I haven't been able to do it. When people insult me, I know silence is good, but inside I still feel hurt, still remember it forever. How can I truly be at peace like Grandma Dia, not be made to suffer by people's words?" Dear Buddhists, this question touches the deepest difficulty of a practitioner amidst life. How to keep calm when insulted. Anyone can be gentle when everything is favorable, but only when adversity comes do we know how steady our mind is. Worldly people often think silence is enduring is weak, but silence in the way is not suppression, but understanding. When understanding the nature of words and the human mind, the heart will naturally be at peace. Like Grandma Dia in the story, she was not silent out of fear, but silent because she clearly saw the other person was suffering, and if she replied, both would suffer. She won not by words, but by a compassionate mind. It was that compassionate mind that made evil words dissolve like salt in water. The Buddha taught that one who speaks evil to a gentle person is no different from looking up and spitting at the sky. The spittle falls back onto oneself. Hate answering hate. Hate never ceases. Only compassion can extinguish hatred. That teaching shows that when we do not answer with anger, karma stops there. But when we react, we continue to extend the rope of suffering. A wise person does not use words to defeat people, but uses the mind to defeat karma. When hearing insulting words, Dear Buddhists, please contemplate deeply that the person speaking heavy words is not speaking to us, but speaking to the suffering within themselves. They're just venting their own insecurity. If we understand that, we will no longer feel insulted. A person is burning. Their words are fire. If we add more wood, the fire gets bigger. But if we bring the water of compassion, the fire naturally goes out. Grandma Dia did not be silent to endure, but silent to transform. Silence in concentration is the silence of the strong. Weak people need to shout loud. Strong people only need to smile gently. When we see ourselves being hurt by words, actually, it is because we still have a self wanting to be respected, wanting to be understood. That self is the place for karma to cling to. If we can let go of that desire, the words of others will have no place to oak into our hearts. Keep the mind like a flat water surface. The wind blows, but does not create waves. People's words are like wind, and a peaceful mind is like a still lake, so nothing can disturb it. In cultivation, the important thing is not hearing evil words, but hearing without wavering. When we do not waver, that very energy influences others. Sometimes we don't say anything, but the person opposite feels ashamed, like Ms. Mann in the story. That is the power of gentle energy, the spiritual power of a practitioner amidst life. To be like Grandma Dia, dear Buddhists, please practice 3 small things. First, when hearing difficult words, return to the breath. Don't let the mind run after the sound. Just one deep breath, and we have separated ourselves from the wave. Second, contemplate that the speaker is suffering, because a peaceful person does not speak heavy words. When seeing the suffering in them, our heart immediately generates love, and if there is love, one cannot be angry. Third, when the mind is still caught, silently read a Buddha's name to remind yourself that all words are impermanent. Wind comes, then wind goes. If every day we practice like that, gradually the words of others will no longer hurt us. A person who understands the way does not need to react, but only needs to keep the mind calm. Mind calm, words naturally gentle, life naturally peaceful. Grandma Dia is the image of a practitioner amidst the market of life, who is still as awake as in a meditation hall. All of us can do that, just need to start with a breath, a smile, and a loving heart.